Mitchell Robinson is heading toward unrestricted free agency this summer, and a struggling rival center is quietly doing him a significant favor. As the New York Knicks continue their deep playoff run, Robinson's performance in the postseason has been steady and controlled, reinforcing his reputation as one of the most reliable rim protectors in the NBA. But perhaps the biggest boost to his market value isn't coming from his own play. It's coming from the disappointing showing by Detroit Pistons center Jalen Duren. Hey, what's up everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do, and honestly, the best way to back this content up because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. Duren entered these playoffs as the consensus crown jewel of the 2026 free agent center class. During the regular season, he averaged an eye, catching 19.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 2.0 assists per game, backing up those numbers with a 68.8% true shooting mark that led the entire NBA. His combination of size, youth athleticism, and a wingspan measuring 7 feet and 5 inches had drawn comparisons to generational big men, and teams were fully prepared to break the bank to sign the 22-year-old restricted free agent. What has unfolded in the playoffs, however, has been a stunning reversal. Duren has averaged just 10.5 rebounds per game through 11 postseason contests, a collapse so dramatic that his true shooting has cratered from 68% down to a mediocre 54.4%. He has scored more than 12 points only once during the entire postseason, and that came in a single performance where he dropped 15. His decision-making, already a concern at times during the regular season with 1.9 turnovers per game, has deteriorated further to 2.6 turnovers per game under the intensity of playoff basketball. The struggles became so glaring that Detroit head coach J.B. Bickerstaff publicly called him out after Duren was beaten on the boards by Cleveland Cavaliers guard Donovan Mitchell, a guard, not a fellow big man. That moment encapsulated everything that has concerned observers about whether Duren is truly ready to become the franchise cornerstone that so many franchises expected to pay for this summer. That uncertainty creates a direct opening for Robinson. While Robinson operates in a reserve role for the Knicks, his impact per minute has been striking when compared directly to his would-be rival. Despite playing just 131 minutes across the current playoff run, compared to Duren's 344, Robinson has accumulated 48 rebounds against Duren's 94. That efficiency gap is enormous, and it says everything about how Robinson makes use of every minute he gets on the floor. His per 36-minute averages this season tell the fuller story: 10.4 points, 16.1 rebounds, and 2.1 blocks. Those numbers speak to a player who dominates the paint when called upon. Robinson also carries none of the questions that now surround Duren. The 26-year-old Knicks center has never been accused of losing rebounding battles against guards. His 7-foot frame and physical presence are constant factors whenever he steps between the lines, and his playoff experience, built over multiple deep runs with New York, gives him a durability and reliability that younger centers simply cannot offer. The economics of the center market are shifting in real time. Duren is still expected to command a substantial contract given his age and upside, but if enough teams decide the playoff risk is too real, the dollars that might have been destined for Detroit's big man could redirect toward proven veterans. Robinson, who will not require the same massive investment, becomes an even more attractive option as a result. Teams looking for a starting caliber center who won't demand a maximum deal suddenly have a cleaner case to make for Robinson. The Knicks, for their part, would like to retain Robinson. His athleticism and shot blocking have been genuine contributors to getting New York to the Eastern Conference Finals. But with Robinson set to hit the open market, the team's own ability to keep him will depend on whether competing franchises, now perhaps more cautious about Duren, are willing to drive his price up. For Robinson, the timing could not be better. He is performing on basketball's biggest stage while his main competition for center contracts flames out. Every strong possession he records in the postseason adds to a growing argument that he deserves a starting role, a larger paycheck, and a legitimate chance to cement his legacy as one of the premier centers available in the 2026 offseason. There is also the matter of team fit. Robinson has thrived in New York's system under head coach Mike Brown, who values physical defenders and players who know their role within a structured offense. The Knicks have built an identity around toughness and defensive intensity, and Robinson embodies both traits. Any team looking to replicate that style knows exactly what Robinson brings: discipline, rim protection, and relentless effort on the glass. If the Knicks advance further, possibly reaching the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999, Robinson's market value will only increase. A Finals appearance carries weight beyond statistics. It signals to front offices across the league that a player can handle the highest pressure environments the game offers. Robinson, who has already shown composure throughout this postseason, would enter free agency with that calling card attached, making him a realistic target for contenders and rebuilding teams alike who see him as a genuine difference maker in the frontcourt. The New York Knicks are waiting, watching, and hoping. As the team prepares for the Eastern Conference Finals, all eyes are on forward OG Anunoby and whether his hamstring injury will allow him to suit up for Game 1. Wednesday brought the first meaningful look at the 28-year-old since his absence at the end of the second-round series against the Philadelphia 76ers, and the news was encouraging, though not entirely definitive. Anunoby was spotted by reporters following Wednesday's practice session, getting shots up from various spots on the floor. He worked through attempts from behind the three-point line and at the free throw line, showing at least some comfort with his shooting mechanics. However, reporters noted that he was not observed doing anything that put significant strain on his hamstring. No sprinting, no sharp cutting, no live defensive positioning. The session gave a visual sense of where he stands, but it did not fully answer the central question of how his leg responds to game speed demands. The most significant update of the day came from ESPN insider Shams Charania, who reported that sources around the team are expressing genuine optimism that Anunoby will be available for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Charania stated that there is an expectation he will be able to play, and that barring any unexpected setbacks during the remaining preparation days, the Knicks are cautiously planning around his return. Head coach Mike Brown confirmed that Anunoby participated in portions of Wednesday's practice, which on its own represents a step forward from earlier in the week when there was virtually no public information about his condition. However, Brown was careful not to oversell the update. He made clear that Anunoby did not participate in the live scrimmage segment of practice, the portion closest to simulating real game action, which indicates the team is still managing his workload deliberately and has not yet cleared him for full contact activity. When asked directly whether Anunoby would be ready for Game 1, Brown kept to a familiar holding pattern, saying he wants to take things one day at a time. His reluctance to commit to any specific timeline could mean several things. It might reflect genuine medical uncertainty. Hamstring injuries are notoriously unpredictable, and a setback in the final days of preparation could change everything quickly. But it could also reflect something more tactical. The Eastern Conference Finals will not begin any earlier than Sunday, and possibly not until Tuesday depending on how the other semifinal series between the Detroit Pistons and Cleveland Cavaliers concludes. That buffer gives the Knicks additional time before they need to make any final decisions on Anunoby's readiness. With that breathing room available, there is little strategic incentive for Brown to hand their upcoming opponent, whichever team survives, any information about Anunoby's true condition. This kind of information management is standard in playoff basketball. Coaches across the league routinely keep injury reports vague, use deliberately ambiguous language at press conferences, and avoid confirming anything until absolutely necessary. Brown has experience at the highest levels of the game, and using uncertainty about Anunoby as a psychological tool against a future opponent would be entirely consistent with how elite coaches operate at this stage of the season. The stakes surrounding Anunoby's health are enormous. He is not a role player whose absence can be easily absorbed. Anunoby is one of the most complete two-way wings in the NBA, combining elite perimeter defense with the ability to score efficiently from multiple areas of the floor. His presence in the lineup fundamentally changes what the Knicks can do defensively, as he has the combination of length, lateral quickness, and basketball intelligence to guard the opposing team's best perimeter player on any given night. Even if Anunoby returns at partial capacity, at roughly 75% or less, his impact on the game could be meaningful, but the Knicks will need to be careful about the pace of his ramp-up. Playoff opponents are fully aware of injury situations and will probe them relentlessly. Whoever the Knicks face in the conference finals will come into the series with a game plan designed in part around testing Anunoby's mobility, attacking his side of the floor, and forcing him into situations that challenge his hamstring. Getting him more practice time before tip-off, even in limited form, could prove critical to his ability to hold up over what could be a long, physical series against either Detroit or Cleveland. The coming days will provide the clearest picture yet of whether the Knicks will have their full complement of weapons available when the Eastern Conference Finals begin. New York has earned its shot at the conference title, and having Anunoby healthy and ready to compete at full intensity could prove to be the decisive factor in how far this team can go. The NBA draft lottery has come and gone, and while the New York Knicks were not in contention for a top pick, they enter the June 23 draft with 3 selections and a clear set of priorities. With the lottery order finalized for the first 14 picks, analysts now have a more precise view of which prospects are likely to be available when New York is on the clock. For the Knicks, the draft represents a chance to address real roster needs. More shooting off the bench, another capable center, and a high upside wing who can develop over time. Here is a breakdown of who the Knicks could realistically target with their 3 picks. Round 1, Pike 24, Isabayadzun Go Ayard. DUKE, the selection of Isaiah Evans at 24 is less obvious than it might appear. Several prospects deserve serious consideration at this slot, including athletic wings and defensive specialists who could contribute from day one. But Evans stands out for a combination of reasons that align well with what the Knicks need going forward. The 20-year-old Duke product is one of the better shooters in this entire class, and more importantly, he is comfortable shooting while moving. The Knicks currently have a strong collection of spot-up shooters. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Landry Shamet all fit that description. What the roster lacks is a player who can sprint off staggered screens, stay balanced through contact, and still fire an accurate three-pointer off the catch. That is precisely Evans' most valuable skill. Knicks fans saw what that dimension adds to an offense during stretches when the team had a shooter with that off-ball movement capability. It creates an entirely different kind of defensive problem, one that requires opponents to communicate across multiple screens and track a player through traffic, which opens passing lanes for everyone else. Adding Evans back into that equation could make an already dangerous Knicks offense measurably harder to defend. Beyond his shooting, Evans has grown as a ball handler over 2 seasons at Duke. He is not yet a consistent creator off the dribble, but there is development there. And for a team that currently relies almost entirely on Brunson to generate advantages from the perimeter, having a young player who can eventually contribute in that area has real value. His defensive instincts are also legitimate. He recorded more blocks than steals in his most recent college season. A sign of good positioning and timing rather than just pure athleticism. Raro N2P31, Melo Kmernau Sitar Ken2 CKY. The most pressing positional concern for the Knicks entering this offseason is the center spot. Mitchell Robinson is set to become an unrestricted free agent, and while the team would clearly prefer to bring him back, there is no certainty that happens, particularly if Robinson's strong playoff run drives up his market value significantly. Even if Robinson does return, backup center Ariel Hukporty has not yet demonstrated the consistency needed to be a reliable long-term piece in New York's rotation. The Knicks need to invest in front-court depth, and Malachi Moreno at pick 31 offers a genuinely intriguing option. Moreno arrives with an NBA-ready physical profile, 7 feet tall and 250 pounds. In his 1 season at Kentucky, he showed strong finishing ability above the rim, respectable rim protection on the defensive end, and, perhaps most surprising, an advanced passing instinct for a big man. The Knicks have already hosted Moreno for a pre-draft workout, a sign of genuine organizational interest. Head coach Mike Brown has shown throughout his career that he can develop big men who understand spacing and ball movement, and Moreno appears to have the foundation to thrive in that kind of system. RON2, PSK 55, Toby Lal Farthard Viajan Ayatechi at pick 55. The Knicks have the freedom to take a swing on raw upside. Toby Lal is exactly that kind of gamble. A 6'8" forward out of Virginia Tech whose physical gifts are undeniable, but whose development is still in its early stages. What makes Lal compelling despite being 23 years old is the context of his basketball journey. The London native did not begin playing organized basketball until age 16, meaning his actual development arc relative to his experience is far steeper than most prospects his age. He is an explosive, high-motor player who creates havoc in transition and consistently finishes above the rim. His defensive instincts are already solid, and he has the lateral mobility to guard multiple positions on the perimeter. The Knicks are a team with the roster security to develop a late second-round prospect without needing immediate production. Lawal's potential fit alongside their collection of versatile, switchable wings could eventually add a pace, pushing dimension that New York currently lacks.